This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download.
I'm Kevin Thompson. I'm Chubre from Return of the Jedi. You're listening to the Nerf Herder Council.
Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
Show me again the power of the darkness, and I will let nothing stand in our way. Show me. Grandfather.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate, featuring your hosts, JT. This episode of the podcast is turning into a goddamn episode of Nova. AJ.
Yeah, Rebels is a lot like our show, where we think we have a good idea, and then it just fails in execution.
Steve.
Show me on the doll where the last Jedi touched you.
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, how exactly does Disney plan to bring the Emperor back in the Rise of Skywalker? We give our thoughts on an article we found on StarWarsNewsNet.com that discusses that exact topic.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve. As always, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. AJ's recommendation this week is Stephen King's It, all 47 hours of it. Get it? And don't forget, you can go to www.shop.nerfherdercouncil.com to get your customized Nerf Herder Council swag. I still have to figure out how to get the Listener 23 shirt to work because it told me I couldn't get it, and that really pissed me off because I want the I'm Listener 23 shirt.
There was only 23. And they sold out.
They stopped after 23.
Did I not unlock the big and tall sizes? I'm sorry.
Shut up. I'm an extra large. I'm not a double X. So all right, audiobooks, swag, we're good to go. We covered the commercials. So there we go.
Yeah, plugs are in. We're good.
Mm-hmm. So
that'll do it for another episode of...
Yeah, all right. Well, on that note, we'll close up shop. So one thing that we wanted to talk about tonight is something that I just read on Star Wars Newsnet, and it's actually gaining some traction apparently as a fan theory, but it's actually based in fact, based around stuff that's actually in canon right now, and it is a theory about how the Emperor might come back in the Rise of Skywalker. And I'll just start it off, and because it sounds really dumb when you say it like this, but it's basically if you want to dumb it down to just a couple words, the Emperor comes back because of a haunted mask. So that's
You're right. That makes it sound way worse than it really is.
We just lost all but Listener 23.
Yeah, right.
Listener 23 is hanging in there strong, but
right.
So if you ordered
the Lonely Vigil,
if you ordered the T-shirt, it's special edition now because the new ones will say I'm listener number 1.
Yeah, we got to start over from scratch. But so AJ, help me fill
Solo,
in
a
details.
Nerf Herder Council listener story.
Nice. So help me fill in details here if I'm missing anything. We'll kind of go through
See,
what
AJ's
the
on his
basis of
phone
this
because
is.
he's making that T-shirt now.
He is. He's doing the designs as we're talking.
He's like, that was a genius plug. I'm doing that one.
So basically, the theory goes that in The Force Awakens, when Kylo Ren is talking to Vader's mask, like, I feel it again, the pull to the light, show me the dark side and I'll finish what you started, grandfather, or whatever. People are saying that he's not just having a one-sided conversation, that he's actually hearing someone talking back to him, and that he thinks it's Vader, but it's actually Palpatine making him think he's talking to Vader. But Palpatine's like spirit or, aura or whatever, soul is in the Vader mask. And he got in the Vader mask because when he was being thrown down the the Death Star shaft, elevator shaft. Yeah. He fell down like three stories, broke a hip. He was old.
Yeah. 12 feet down, he slaps onto the top of the elevator and then just rides it down very slowly.
Right. That's how he survived. It was actually an elevator shaft. He landed, it fell about 30 feet, like, oh, what's really not that bad. Just rode it down and flew on a shuttle away out into wild space. Like, oh, geez. So when he was thrown down to Death Star shaft and Vader was, throwing him, and the Emperor's shooting him full of Force lightning. I can't talk for tonight. Shooting him all full of Force lightning. He was actually projecting himself into, Vader or the suit or whatever. So the mask that, Ren has, the Emperor's actually his soul or spirit or aura is in the Vader suit. So
in so many ways, I can kind of see this as plausible, because this goes back and answers one of the very first questions I had when Force Awakens came out, and that was Kylo talking to the helmet and saying, "I'm going to finish what you started." And I mentioned it back then. I was like, well, wouldn't Anakin Force Ghost come back and say, "Whoa, hold on, Chief. I changed my mind at the end there." So, I mean, this would make sense if Palpatine has been in that helmet the whole time. Kylo Ren doesn't realize that he's not really talking to Vader / Anakin.
Yeah, because Vader actually turned to the light. Yeah,
because Kylo doesn't know who the hell he's talking to. He assumes it's Vader because it's coming out of the helmet. But Palpatine mind F's him, makes him think that. And honestly, this also would explain why we heard the rumors of Hayden Christensen being on the set of the new movie, because maybe the Force Ghost does come back and slap the piss out of him and tell him like, no, that's not what's going on here.
Yeah,
but yeah, it makes sense. Because like I said, it was, that was probably one of my very first questions was, well, what's he finishing if Darth Vader made the fourth quarter conversion to the light?
Yeah.
Shouldn't this not be an issue anymore? So this actually, to me, it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you're going to throw it out.
It makes Vader a jerk.
It does.
Why does it make Vader a jerk?
Because if he's been a Force Ghost the whole time and keeping a tab on what's going on, he still let Kylo Ren murder Han Solo. Like, he didn't correct him.
Well, maybe
Kylo's growing in strength. He's just like, let me see how this plays out for a minute.
Maybe
he'll get it on his own.
Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe Palpatine's kind of had him locked out in some alternate reality somewhere that he doesn't know that all this is going on.
Yeah. Maybe he just never liked Han Solo.
Anakin's just in some crazy Force Ghost cantina getting trashed for the past 30 years and doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Anakin's not 100% good guy. He's like, look, I used to be Darth Vader. Now, at least I'm mostly good. So I let the guy die. Who cares? See all the people that I killed before? This is nothing. It's one dude.
The movie just cuts to Anakin in a Force Ghost cantina, and he's just doing Asian karaoke in the corner of the bar. Like, Anakin, don't you know what's going on? I don't even know.
No,
I don't care.
I don't care.
He's like all super Jedi now. He's like, look, man, Yoda said get rid of attachment, so I don't care who dies.
I'm attached to nothing.
Right. I'm a nihilist.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the nihilists for the Big Lebowski.
We care about nothing.
Nothing, Solo. We care about nothing. And tomorrow, Kylo Ren come back and cut off your Johnson. But
he assumes that that when he saw Han Solo crossing over or something, that it was just a drunken understanding in his head.
Right. like just like a hallucination.
Well, no, it's a Force ghost, so Han wouldn't be there anyway. So how the hell would he know?
Exactly.
All right.
See,
we're figuring this out as we go along. This movie is going to be awful.
Yeah,
God.
This is why we talk through things on this show, because we're too dumb to think of it before we open our mouths.
Han Solo falls down the giant shaft on Starkiller, and Anakin's just watching that like, I've seen this before.
Yeah, that looks really familiar. But yeah, so apparently there's actual canonical backup to this type of theory, and it revolves around the Jedi temple being built on the ruins of an old Sith temple, and they didn't know that there was like a secret chamber underneath it, so they thought they destroyed the whole thing, but there was actually a secret chamber.
That's what you get when you build a Walmart on top of an Indian burial ground.
Yep, that's what you get. So now we're going to Poltergeist. So apparently that also explained why the Jedi's ability to use the Force was diminishing, because the dark side stuff that was in that little secret chamber, whatever, was like sucking the energy out of it, and Palpatine apparently had Sith artifacts and all this, that, and the other, and they basically house dark side energy. So that kind of is and then there's a character named Momin that was a Sith back in the day, and they had his mask, and it's in the comic books. So there is canonical precedent to say that someone's spirit can be absorbed into an inanimate object.
Yeah,
so
there's a couple different degrees to how far they take this. It depends on which one you're reading. Like the Newsnet article that we'll link to, it talks about those artifacts that are in the Sith temple below the Jedi temple. Overall, it's kind of almost like voodoo, where you can have like energy imbued within objects, but not full like spirits.
Yeah.
But this Momin guy was the one who actually figured out how to tie his spirit to a specific object, and it was his mask.
Yeah.
And then in the comic book series, the mask starts talking to Vader, actually, and they he has like a disembodied conversation with him, and eventually is able to like recreate or regain his body.
Now, I wanted to ask that because I wasn't sure from the article. Did he?
Here's the what the f moment though. The what the f moment is when it's revealed that Vader's castle is actually designed by Momin. Like he's a Sith architect.
Well, because didn't he like project himself into the architect or something, because the architect put his mask on or something?
Like possessed him or something,
Yeah, because the architect put the mask on, and so he went into the architect to make his own design and the set and the other. I mean, and that was my question, because one of the things that it brought up in the article was that in the comic book, Momin somehow became physical again. Now, did he like inhabit a Mustafarian, or I couldn't tell if it was that, or it was just all of a sudden like he just created a body out of thin air. Was he? That's what I didn't understand. I mean, because if it's creating a body out of thin air, that's just horrifically stupid.
Because
that could be critical to know, and I wish I did, because if you can create bodies out of thin air, then there you go. There's how Palpatine comes back.
Yeah. I mean, because
I don't remember. Somebody was the architect. He killed the architect, right? Somebody was laying on the ground dead.
Yeah, it was like it was two of the people working for Vader, I think. The architect and their friend or something, and then the one got possessed and killed the other one, I think. And Vader saw what was going on when he came back. He's like, "Holy crap!" and killed the person right away. But apparently, it's something.
Yeah, I remember.
Like that.
I remember I
feel like it's
Vader smashing somebody with a rock. That was about it.
I feel like it's worth a month of Marvel Comics Unlimited just to go back and read this series, so we know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, and sorry if we're all over the place with this stuff, people. You can read the article on Star Wars Newsnet. It's a very, very, very long article, so that's why we're trying not to read it as we're talking. But apparently, the guy that authored the comics where this stuff was already included has been commissioned to do a 4-part series that comes out right before the Rise of Skywalker, and it's supposed to be like the direct lead-in to the Rise of Skywalker. So people are saying, "Oh, well, he did this other stuff that kind of provides that theory, and now they have him doing this." So
could be,
So that's I just
the whole concept is not unprecedented. I mean, even in Legends, we love the Darth Plagueis book, And they mentioned it briefly in there how like Palpatine had his lightsaber and what ended up being Plagueis' lightsaber in his office as Chancellor. Like he was stashing his Sith stuff all over the place.
Well, supposedly had Plagueis' ashes in there too.
Yeah, and that was written in as actual like Disney canon now. That one of the giant vases is actually appears on screen and it contains Plagueis' ashes.
Yeah, they actually have a picture of it from Revenge of the Sith in the article. There's two of them.
So I kind of love that idea. I love the idea that like he's hiding in plain sight like that. Like he's like, yeah, not only am I here, but here's all this Sith stuff right under the Jedi's noses, and nobody knows.
Yeah, the part that I like in the article, I mean, this isn't really related to the Rise of Skywalker, but people have complained for a long time about the Mace Windu line. Oh, I think it's time we let everybody know that our ability to use the Force is diminished, and people are like, that's so stupid. They can't like have a diminished Force ability. Well, this explains, okay, yeah, they can, because there was like a bunch of dark side energy under the ground they didn't even know was there that was like sapping the light. So that makes sense, which is cool. I mean, how do you feel about this whole thing? Because I don't know, like I have yet to come up with my own fan theory about what I would think would be a cool way to bring Palpatine back into the story, because to me it just feels so shoehorned in. And I don't know how I feel about this whole possession of an inanimate object thing. It's like, like if I'm dying right now, I want to go on. I'm going to throw myself into that Blink 182 poster. So, like,
I mean, could it be as simple as Force Ghost? I mean, the Sith they use the Force too. Who the hell says that you have to be a good guy to be able to
see
Force
that?
Ghost?
That would make more sense to me. Like if he's actually not, if I'm using this word incorrectly, AJ, let me corporeal.
That's right.
Okay. So if he's not corporeal, then okay. I mean, he's just appearing as a Force ghost and whatnot. Okay, that I would accept, because we've seen Force ghosts before, and that would be cool to say, okay, well now he's figured out an old Jedi trick. So now he can appear and do all this other stuff. Like, that's fine. But the whole physical body thing, to me, there's just, when you see him like go down this gigantic shaft and the thing blows up, and it's like, just to say, okay, he's back physically, that to me, there's no, and this is just me. There doesn't seem like there's a cool, believable way to do it that doesn't sound like they're getting too detailed into these stories. Like we say, how much is too much, we've said on the show. To me, that's getting into too much.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would like that either, because then every time you go back and watch episode 6, you would get to that moment and you would go, oh, so that's where it is.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want anything that happens in this new trilogy to make you look back at the original and go, ugh.
Yeah.
So I would really hate that. So I would really personally rather lean towards the Force Ghost part than the lightning possession part of it. That would just be weird.
It's like you guys said, it makes sense, especially because one of the things I was reading,
and he zapped so many people with lightning too. So I mean, does Luke have a part of the Emperor in him too, because he was getting zapped by him? I mean, what the hell? You just segued perfectly to what I was going to say.
It worked in Harry Potter.
Yeah, this is not Harry Potter.
That's true.
But yeah, I was
intertwining.
I was just about to say that in the comment section of the article, someone pointed out that it has been shown, and this is canon as well, that Vader's actual corpse was not in the suit when Luke was burning him on Endor. So that would make sense, because the lightning he was...
How do we know that?
I'm not sure how you would...
It's actually in canon somewhere.
Really?
That Luke was just burning the suit. So... And
what's the point there?
Okay, no, because Anakin, when he died, did what Yoda did and just disappeared and becomes a Force ghost, because that's what Jedi do. So that's what happened. And so Luke has the suit and he burns it, and it's basically kind of like a symbolic burning of the Vader persona, whatever. And
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and that would make sense in terms of the lightning. You say, well, he shot Luke and all this. I mean,
Obi-Wan did it, Yoda did it. You would assume when Anakin died, he would just fade away into nothing and leave the suit there, I guess.
And
I never thought about that before.
I didn't either. And it speaks to what you were saying, that, well, why didn't his soul go into Luke Skywalker when he's shooting him with lightning? Well, because he was just shooting him with lightning. Like, he wasn't putting himself into Luke Skywalker. When he was doing it to Vader, he wasn't doing it into Anakin Skywalker. He was doing it into the suit. So, that's why the suit would actually have Palpatine.
So he was zapping himself into the torso light bright.
Yes, exactly.
So he zaps himself into the suit, and the suit can be melted and put on fire, and the soul's okay because you can't torch a soul. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, that's why. I mean, he's got the mask. So basically, he's quote, I mean, for lack of a better phrasing, living in the mask. So when Kylo Ren is talking to the mask, he thinks he's talking to Vader, but he's actually talking to Palpatine because Palpatine's making him think that he's talking to Vader.
Well, having not gotten through the whole article because it is very long, did they go into Rebels?
I don't recall seeing that as I glanced through it.
Because Palpatine does appear in the final episodes of Rebels.
I don't think they mentioned that.
Through the World Between Worlds, he appears in that World Between Worlds, whatever, as a benevolent old man he's like wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. He's talking to Ezra and trying to basically Palpatine's been looking for this World Between Worlds forever and can't
I remember
get
that.
in. Yeah.
I remember that.
So, I mean, there is this whole precedent of Palpatine trying to use oddball means to get through space and time.
Yeah.
So to say that he's on board with just possessing a melted, messed up suit until something better comes along, yeah, I could see him kind of doing that.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, the logic in the article and the things that happen in canon make a lot of sense. If that's what they're going to do, it makes sense for that to happen. I mean, that's, like I say, if you're just going into the mask, he's learned to do that, he's learned to cheat death and all this stuff. So it's all explained to where if you know all of the backstory, you could be like, okay, I don't know how much I like it. I can accept it, I guess. Honestly, my problem is this speaks to something that we've discussed several times on the show, which is, people don't follow books and comics and all that crap. So there's going to be people that literally are going to this movie, and if they don't explain it well in the film, they're just going to think that this guy came out of nowhere and he was stuck in a piece of plastic, and they're going to go, what in the F is this? Whereas the people that have read the books and the comics, they have all the backstory. It makes sense. So if someone has to have all this other backstory for it, that's not a really good decision. I mean, I have to assume they're not going to do that for that exact reason, but still.
Yeah, they're really good about that. Even in comics themselves, any comic, even comic book writers themselves know you're not going to go back and read every back issue to get every detail. So there's either an editor's note, or they'll just, they'll monologue for a second and sum up everything that you missed in the back issues.
Yeah.
And Star Wars has done it before too. I mean, in Solo, Darth Maul comes back, and some people are like, "Oh my God, how the hell did that happen?"
Yeah.
Well, that story is actually there, but
I've had to explain that so many times.
Yeah. So it's either a fun surprise if you don't know the backstory, or it's perfectly plausible if you do.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that if this does come to be the case, they're going to explain it in the movie sufficiently enough to move the plot along, and then you can go rummage later for all the stuff that's in this article, basically.
Right. Do you guys think, because the Maul thing was pretty much universally accepted because everyone loves Darth Maul, and even people that didn't know the backstory, when they saw him at the end of Solo, were like, "That's awesome, Darth Maul." Do you think that the Emperor thing is going to be accepted on that basis too? Where people are just going to instantly think it's cool to have him back and kind of gloss over, wait a minute, how the hell did that happen? Do you think it's going to get the same response as the Maul reveal did?
I don't know. I mean, the way it was introduced at Celebration was extremely cool, but once you're sitting in the theater and watching it, I don't know if you'll have the same feeling towards it, I guess.
Yeah, they're handling this one very differently. Maul was a surprise reveal, and the Emperor is on the friggin' poster.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have brought the Emperor back the same way Maul was, by either knowing it a couple of weeks ahead of time because you read spoilers, or just having it thrown at you in the theater, I think it would have had more of an effect, but it would have had the initial effect the same way it did at Celebration. Probably
right.
That initial holy F moment, and then you would have kind of just calmed down after the fact or something. But
plus, what I'm really excited for, I think the other difference is Maul didn't actually matter to the Solo story. he was a fun reveal at the end, but he had no influence on the events of that plot.
Yeah.
Whereas the Emperor, by being in the marketing materials, I think that means he's actually going to be driving the story in some way.
It would have to.
Which, from a marketing standpoint, who doesn't want to see? I mean, anybody who knows enough to know who the Emperor is in the first place knows that he died. So to see him, in the poster, they're like, okay, well, looks like we're going to go see how this plays out.
Yeah. I wonder if that's why they're purposely not putting out a lot of footage this time around. They're just kind of saying, hey, the Emperor's in it. And then you're like, what? Kind of like how they did with, when they announced that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were going to be in The Force Awakens, but you didn't really get a lot. Mm-hmm. It was just they're making you wait to see them in the movie. And, Oh,
yeah. They're like, these characters are in it, but here's footage of other characters.
Yeah, all the new people, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, it's an interesting article, and it makes sense to me. I just don't know. I mean, how much exposition do you think they're going to have to give this in the theater? Because you can't, for something like this, because again, what it comes down to is it's a freaking haunted mask. So if you don't explain that properly, it's going to look really stupid. So I wonder, again, we've talked about the running time,
like
but
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it's just going to be a giant Scooby-Doo mystery.
Yeah, they're just going to take the mask off of that table and see who it really is.
I don't think they're going to have to explain too much, actually.
Phasma was never a woman. It was actually Palpatine the whole time.
Right, yeah.
Pull that helmet off. I would have gotten away with it, too. If it weren't for you snooping resistance troopers.
And your meddling dog, too, and they all turn around and look at Finn. And Chewie's just like...
Yeah, I don't know. Hey,
whatever.
Yeah.
That's what happened. See, he's got that shuttle, the Imperialis, according to the article.
Yep.
And Phasma made her armor out of the metal from that shuttle. So she's wearing the Emperor right now.
We just figured it out. And on that note, we'll close up shop.
Yep. We'll close up shop on the Skywalker saga. You're welcome.
You guys are welcome. We just figured out the plot to episode 9 for all y'all.
Now,
keep a lookout on our Twitter for the C&D from Lucasfilm.
If we get one, then we're like, holy crap, we really are onto something. My God.
Isn't that great? Like, they can't actually do that because if someone were to actually hit on it, they can't issue the C&D because then everyone's going to know that's
admission of guilt. Yeah.
Right. So they're just like, someone probably does hit on important stuff in fan theories, and someone at Disney sees that and they're like,
oh, come on!
I like to imagine they just send people to your house like the Secret Service.
Yeah.
They just unfold their wallet and you see like a Yoda inside there. You're like, oh my God, George sent you.
But no, the one thing the movies do really good, as we've established before, is that there's like a new force power in every movie, which means there's some WTF in every movie.
Yeah.
And yet through the flow of the movie and the speed at which everything moves along, you never really hang on that one weird thing to, need more explanation. You just worry about it. You think about it after the fact and go, oh yeah, we haven't seen that before.
Like the force projection in Last Jedi.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So, whatever they have to do to explain Palpatine's presence in this, I don't think it's going to take very long to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
it's kind of like...
And once it is explained, somebody's just going to find it in like a 3-year-old EU book or something anyways, the same way with the force projection in the Jedi code book that's been out for 10 years. And they're like,
yeah,
it was on page 73 of this. We already knew it. Just nobody read it. So.
Yeah. And I'm very much on record as having been absolutely just crapping all over the whole quote unquote force tree idea before The Last Jedi came out, and that was perfectly fine. So, again, when you don't know what it is, and you go, I heard there's a force tree. What the F is that? It's like, now it's a freaking haunted mask. Like, okay, maybe what they've done is set up the backstory to the whole thing in the books and comics, but how they actually play it out in the movie is the real crux of the whole concept, and it actually looks cool. Yeah, especially once you have the backstory. So, they have built up a certain level of trust with us in that respect. It's just, again, it's one of those things when you first read it, like a haunted mask, like what in the crap? Like, That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right?
That's like a blind guy hitting stormtroopers with a stick being cool, or a force tree. Like, who comes up with these things? Like,
Or Darth Vader building C-3PO. I mean,
look, if you're not going to even try, I'm out of here. So anyhow, I cut you off. You were going to say,
no, I was done. I'm good.
are you sure? Or did you just forget because I cut you off?
Pretty much.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
No, Steve, you had made a point earlier, and you did cut me off to where I did forget what I was going to say. So there was something that Steve had said earlier I was going to circle back around to, and I forget what it was now, which...
I'm
Kinda
sure
lame.
it wasn't anything smart.
Sorry.
But,
Well, to quote drunken Stephen Piercy, my bad.
yeah, right. No, I think this could work. Oh no, yeah, Steve, you were talking about how you didn't want to like go back to Return of the Jedi if it was like the Emperor putting his soul into Vader's suit at that moment. You don't want to go back and like have your feelings about those other movies changed based on, something that
Right.
comes out in the explanation for this business. But I think we're pretty much stuck with that, aren't we? I mean, didn't they say that this is going to wrap up all the 9 movies? And
Yeah.
Haven't they also alluded to like changing your perspective on past of? They said something about how like this is going to tie it all together by referencing everything, right?
Yeah, basically.
They're either going to retcon it or something is going to alter your perception of previous movies' events based on what's revealed in this one.
Because like as of today, I can watch the original trilogy and knowing what happens in 7 and 8, nothing bothers me, even though I know the events leading up. So I guess personally, I just want to keep it that way. I could still separate the 3 trilogies, even though I know they tie together, but not have anything affect the next one down the line.
Right.
I said I just don't want them to do something so stupid that you can go back and pinpoint that moment in hell any of the other 6 and go, ugh.
Yeah.
Like why? Why'd you do that? Now you've ruined it from here forward for me.
Yeah.
I'm scared of that. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of already have. If the Emperor is back in any way, shape, or form, we thought he was dead and gone forever at the end of the Return of the Jedi. So already you look at those movies and go, well, he's not really gone.
Right, but at least it's not an ugh moment yet.
Yeah.
Until we see how it plays out.
Here's the ugh moment that I thought of on the way here. Snoke. He's a friggin' blip on the radar at this point. He comes in as like the new big bad. He gets dispatched in the second movie after he had almost nothing to do in the first one. And then unless he ties back in somehow, if there's some explanation of how he was involved with Palpatine, otherwise he's just like the villain of the week.
Yeah. As of right now, he's totally a trash bag character.
Yeah.
He's the first Inquisitor. Like,
Yeah. Dude, that's an excellent analogy. That's very true. Yeah, I mean, that's almost something that they're going to have to explain. Because I mean, otherwise, then it just becomes almost like the Mission Impossible movies, where every movie has a different, like James Bond. Mm-hmm. Like it's just similar character, but there's always a different bad guy he has to defeat. Like
right,
yeah, that's a really good point. I mean,
if we're to believe that Kylo Ren is a pivotal character in the entire saga, then whoever made him fall from the light, apparently Snoke, must be pivotal as well. And yet, he did almost nothing.
Yeah, I mean, unless they do something to where Snoke actually was really powerful in the dark side, and Palpatine like helped Kylo like use the dark side strongly enough to where he didn't see the being cleaved in half with a lightsaber part coming. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, unless they do that, but yeah, man. That's weird. I mean, that's one of those things they almost had to have planned in advance, because, I mean, otherwise that brings into play the whole Ryan Johnson purposely messing with J.J. Abrams thing, because if, Snoke was what if this is a thing? What if Snoke was supposed to be the big bad guy and Ryan Johnson was like, no, he sucks, and cut him in half? So now J.J. Abrams is going to go, oh, you want to kill my bad guy? Well, then I'm going to kill your whole story by putting the Emperor in mine, so F you.
Yeah.
What if it is a giant pissing contest?
This is going to be interesting to see how they balance all this, because more and more Last Jedi seems like it kind of went into business for itself.
Yeah, again, like what I've said before, I really hope that Episode 9 makes you look at these other two movies in a different light. You know, that would, I mean, honestly, that's my biggest hope for the movie, is that all of a sudden there's all these moments in Episode 9 where you look at the other two and go, oh, that's awesome. Like if they really have had an overarching story, by the way, is it overarching or overarching? I've seen it both ways and now I'm confused.
I would say overarching.
Okay, we'll just use overarching then. So I mean,
It's a story arc, but
yeah,
arches are like, you know.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm like really hopeful that there actually has been this overarching story, and we just can't see it because we don't have all the pieces yet. Because that to me would make this trilogy so unbelievably cool. Because it was it something we didn't even see coming. Because the 7 and 8 are so different. So you're like, well, how the hell are they going to tie this together?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it could be amazing. It has the potential to be absolutely amazing if they do that. But if it's just okay, well, we're going to listen to things people didn't like about The Last Jedi and kind of put shoehorn fan service crap in, then it's going to be like, oh no.
That's where the involvement of the Emperor gets really tricky, and I'm kind of surprised that they were this bold to do it. Once you put the Emperor in play in 9, I feel like they've got to call back to 7 and 8 and, you know, shift your perception of those events. Like, it sounds like to make sense for the Emperor to be in this at the end of the saga, this should have all been, you know, I have foreseen it. So,
yeah.
Like 7 and 8 were just this veneer, this like false front over Palpatine's grand design the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Palpatine was in Snoke's head and clouded his vision so he couldn't see the lightsaber yakking him in half or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So you run the risk of either making everything that you saw in 7 and 8 not matter because it was all fake, or you run the risk of it not mattering because it was undone by whatever happened in 9.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing, like, and I kind of been thinking about this as we've been talking about it, but, you know, the movie's called The Rise of Skywalker, and you guys have mentioned it, and a lot of people are saying, oh, what if it's, you know, Anakin Skywalker? It's like The Rise, and it's like, okay, well, in a way, if the Emperor's back, it would make sense that if he's, you know, let's say Anakin, they make him, he is truly the chosen one. Like, so what he does is he ends up killing the Emperor, which is like killing the ultimate evil, and actually does bring balance to the Force that way. Okay, well, then what did all these other characters matter? You know, like what the hell, like you say, Snoke, but then it's like, okay, what the hell's Rey there for? What the hell's Luke there for? It's kind of, it raises some more questions that are, you're just like, why, what's going on here? So
yeah, if the big climactic battle is Ghost Palpatine versus Ghost Anakin, like, why did we need everybody else? Like,
yeah,
they're just swinging lightsabers through each other, doing no damage.
yeah.
This is not going to work.
And then everybody else just walks away as the two of them are still just grunting and swinging lightsabers.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, you know, I mean, I don't have anything else. So if you guys,
God, I don't think that's ever going to be something that we see. Sorry, quick final.
No, it's
tangent,
fine. It's fine.
Of all the lightsaber battles that would be cool to see that we never have, Vader versus Palpatine.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, maybe they can find a way.
Yeah. I mean, something's got to be slightly weird about it, since as far as we know, there is no living Skywalkers anymore. So it's Luke or it's Anakin or something that's rising.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point? So something weird seems like it's going to be going on regardless.
What if the Rise of Skywalker is actually like the whole plot twist is that Palpatine is actually the first Skywalker?
Oh God, like he kind of like took the name because he made Anakin with the.
Well, what if his name was always Skywalker, but he just for some reason took on Sheev Palpatine? Who knows? Maybe they'll go back, you know, and retcon that sort of thing. Like,
No, Anakin just gave 3PO a last name, and that's why he comes up in the new trailer with the red eyes.
yeah, right.
If something like that were to happen, that's when we reenact the Family Guy joke of Stewie like walking out of the movie theater, walking down the street, getting in the cab, going to the airport, buying a ticket, getting on the plane. We just go up to JJ's door, knock on it, he opens it.
Yeah.
That was not funny.
I don't know.
The Emperor is put his soul into the Vader helmet, but back when he was 7 years old and created 3PO, Anakin put a failsafe in it that if he was to ever die, there's a part of his soul in 3PO.
Yeah.
So Anakin is now living through 3PO now.
Like I said, careful. This is all Horcruxes from Harry Potter.
Yep.
Just watch yourself.
Yeah, so... All right, well...
God, that would be Harry Potter. I'm sorry. It would be Harry Potter.
It would.
Because the final Horcrux from Voldemort in Harry Potter is Harry.
Yep.
I have no idea what any of this means.
It means that
I don't want to know.
You could literally have a Harry Potter ripoff in the final chapter of the Skywalker saga.
Let me run upstairs and get my wife.
God.
This podcast is going to be 4 hours long.
That cannot happen.
On that note, we will close up shop for this episode of the show. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. As we said at the top, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. If you'd like to get some personalized Nerf Herder Council swag, go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. You can find the podcast on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, CastBox, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Most Android podcast apps will have us. You can find all of our episodes on YouTube. Just look for the Nerf Herder Council. The website is nerfherdercouncil.com. You can find us also on Facebook. If you'd like to send us an email with your thoughts, just send it to nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com. And you can interact with us directly on our show Twitter page, where we're fairly active. That is at NHC Podcast. So once again, I am your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Knows Too Much Harry Potter.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will catch you next time.
Bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie? Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder. You my Nerf herder.